What is happening, YouTube? Welcome back to the training channel. I've got another week of training here for you. Not a particularly eventful week when it comes to training because this was a deload week / couple of days. The way that Liam and I agreed that we were going to do the deload week was not the entire week because it's just not necessary to deload for an entire 7 days. Just take a few days off of training and then just gradually build the intensity back up as the week goes on. So this session was actually meant to be on Monday, but I pushed it to Wednesday to give myself Monday and Tuesday just to fully rest, allow my body to recover from the intensity of the previous phase. And then this was a really nice session, nice low volume session, low intensity session to get back into the intensity of the training. So 2x8 back squat, 100 kilos, and then some 8-6 dunks. I really like very mini rim, like low rim dunks, just because it enables you to do dunks that you wouldn't really ever be able to do on a higher rim, at least not yet anyway. This allows you to practice and get a good amount of movement variety with a bunch of different approach angles, a bunch of different ways. You'll see here that I actually got a welt on my right wrist because I was dunking too hard. I really like to dunk the ball hard. It's one of my favorite things. So I ended up doing the rest of the session with thrunks or two-handers or anything where I'm not trying to touch the rim with my wrist because it was very painful, or just lefties. We're going to jump the rim up to 9.6 next week, and then because I'll explain in the video on Monday, but for reasons that are out of my control, I'm going to have to stop training in this parking garage, and therefore it will be probably one of the last sessions that I ever do dunking on this adjustable rim in this parking space. So stay tuned for that on Monday. I'll explain that more in the video. Then I did some depth drop landings some drop landings with this step ladder. It was very handy because each step is about 12, 13, maybe 14 inches higher than the other one. So that means that I was able to roughly get the appropriate heights for the depth landings. Multiple different directions, landing on different angles, medial landings, lateral landings, trying to change up the variety in the way that I land. Snatch complex here on Thursday, 80 kilos. Muscle snatch, power snatch, and then a full snatch. About 85 to 90% certain that that's a muscle snatch PR. Haven't really been doing much snatch recently, so I would have to check back in the archives of all the training footage. Then this definitely is a PR. Front squat triple PR at 140 at 88 kilos body weight is not too shabby if I do say so myself. The relative strength is definitely increasing. So as I said earlier, the intensity as the deload week went on steadily increased. So that was the top set on the front squat. And then we did some back off sets at 140 with a slightly wider stance. Really felt this in my adductors. It wasn't quite full depth. I felt like I was cutting off depth because going right to the bottom would have been almost impossible to stand up. At least it felt like it at this depth anyway. Doesn't look like it in the video. So yeah, wide stance back squats, 2x5 at 140. And then some behind the neck strict press. This is probably one of my weakest upper body lifts with a barbell because for whatever reason, pressing behind the neck for me is just not that strong, but perhaps it's movement, like familiarity. I'm not familiar with the movement that much. Haven't got a huge training age with the movement, but I feel like for my upper back development, tricep development, shoulder development, this is going to be a game changer for me, just really trying to push the behind the neck press and get the numbers up there. And yeah, just improve my overhead mobility as well. I feel like that would translate quite nicely into my jerk, my snatch, as well as my push press. A little weigh in there, getting into the low end of 88. I feel like just keeping my weight around here is fine and just trying to maximize the amount of strength that I have, speed, and obviously power as well at this body weight is optimal. And here is my slow reaction time. I did kind of catch up towards the end here, but you don't see it on video. Maybe I'm just sounding like I'm coping. Trust me, guys, I did well in that race. I promise. But no, that guy who I train with, Chibs, he's got really good reaction times, so I need to work on that. Going to keep training with him every Friday. Half-field split squats right after the sprints, 2 sets of 10 at 100 kilos. This is the last week we're going to do them. I'm going to mix it up, add in some other unilateral exercises for the lower body just for some variety. I've definitely gained a lot out of these, even though I haven't pushed the weight on the Hatfield split squats. I've found that throughout the weeks, I've been able to put less and less pressure in my hands and add more and more load onto the legs. So I'm trying to just use like barely my fingertips to lift myself up with my leg there. Mainly it's just for support and balance. Set of 9 muscle ups here. Definitely not the prettiest form. Was pretty down fatigued at this point, bearing in mind I've just completed sprints, just done the split squats. I was even contemplating like doing the muscle ups after the workout, but I wanted to get my 25 done for the day, so I was trying to do them as longer sets as possible. Ended up doing a set of 9 on this one and then a set of 6 afterwards. I was going for a set of 10, but that last rep was just not there. I think if you do high rep muscle ups, I'm kind of changing my mind that they actually can be a pretty decent hypertrophy stimulus. You just have to get to the point where you can do a decent enough number of reps to get those pushing and pulling exercises, or the combination of the pushing and pulling movements in there together. I'd say it's predominantly a pulling movement, but yeah, you can get a good amount of stimulus in your chest, triceps, shoulders, rotator cuff, lats, upper back, mid back, everything with a muscle up. Then little leg superset, seated leg curls superset with leg extensions. This setup here is probably my favorite for getting the most stretch across the quads, especially that rec fem. Putting the seat all the way back, adding in some pads to increase the range of motion on the knees. And then of course, after the Friday session, we're gonna make this tradition. We've got to do a rip check what the physique is looking like. This is probably the leanest I've ever been at the highest body weight I've ever been. Obviously my body weight came down a little bit from last week, so I'm probably a tiny bit leaner. But anyway, that's it for this week. I'll catch you guys in the next one.